What is up, everyone? I'm really excited to go into this video, and maybe you've gone and done some research on, let's say, Zillow or Redfin and seen what your home is worth, and maybe you want to buy in Denver. But it's really not that simple. I mean, you gotta also think about the quality of life and see what it's like to live in Denver. So that is what this video is all about. We're here to just talk about the quality of life in Denver, what it's like just living here, and what you can expect year round. So I'm just gonna rapid fire these questions and topics that I want to talk about the living situation here in Denver. So first and foremost, the number one thing that you've got to realize is that the trails here in Denver are amazing. There's great views, great conditions, and even if you want to travel outside of Denver, let's say over to the mountains or even down south to, let's say, Green Mountain or the Bailey area or Conifer, you will have an awesome time over there. And even in the middle of winter, it's pretty dry, so once you get the blood pumping and you're walking or hiking, you feel pretty good. It's not like you're sweating profusely while you're doing these outdoor activities. And it is beautiful at this point in time. Like, I'm recording this in June of 2023. The grass is green, the flowers are blooming, the birds are chirping, and the creeks are filled with water from all that ice runoff and the ice melting in the mountains. And along those trails, you'll realize that Denverites are very active people, and we like to take care of ourselves. We're very fit here. We climb mountains for fun, and we consider snow shoveling a extreme sport. And who honestly needs a gym when you got Mother Nature's obstacle, snow in your driveway? Another thing to consider are the wildfire dangers. Colorado has seen a series of years ever since the year 2000 where it is considered drought conditions. So the years 2002, 2012, 2018, and 2020, they have all been considered one of the driest on record. Not too long ago, December 30th of 2021, the Marshall Fire was super devastating to the community. It was actually the most destructive wildfire in Colorado's history. It did over $513 million worth of property damage. And the reason behind that, it was because there was a dry winter, lack of snow, and it just had super high winds. I think it was like pushing 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, which pushed the fire super quick. And it was really hard for those firefighters to get a hold and contain the fire. Now, other states might have floods or earthquakes or hurricanes and stuff like that, but Colorado, I'd say the most devastating natural disaster might be the wildfires, but to be honest, it doesn't happen very often, and usually it's well contained. Another thing to point out, and just sort of shifting here, going into the limited amount of bugs here, especially during the winter. Like, there's hardly any spiders or centipedes or roly-polies or whatever it might be, and no mosquitoes, which is awesome. During the summertime, you might run into like gnats or smaller critters, and they can't really get too big because the food source is not here. Anyways, the point being is that the only time you ever run into mosquitoes is if you have like a pool of standing water for a long period of time and it's not doing anything, which is very unlikely, especially with all the creeks, the lakes, and the movement of water here. And right now in the late spring, miller moths are everywhere, and they are pretty harmless. The thing is that I don't even know where they come from, but they just like pop out, and a lot of the showings that I'm doing right now in like late spring, early summer, they come out of nowhere and they just sort of get in your face and like, oh my God, get away. Yeah, so the main point of that is that they're erratic and you really can't just predict their behavior. They're just kind of annoying. All right, so Denver farmers markets. It is huge here. By the time the winter melts away and it heads into spring, farmers markets are aplenty, and everyone goes out of their hibernation to go out and shop and support local businesses. And Denverites take the phrase farm to table very seriously. You always get the non-GMO, fair trade, ethically sourced, I don't know, what other buzzwords are there? I mean, in all honesty, we really love our food and drink here. We just love to support the local communities and local farms. And if you were ever curious about my favorite farmers market, because I know I pretty much go every weekend to these, make sure you hit me up, call me, email me, text me. I'm one of the few millennials that enjoy phone calls these days, so hit me up. I would love to go out to these markets with you. Going back to the list, I would say that Denver now is much more of a melting pot than it was, let's say, 5 or 10 years ago. More cultures coming in, and you got a lot of fusion food here as well. You gotta go check out Super Mega Bien. It's an awesome food. It's kind of a weird Mexican-Chinese fusion, but it is amazing. And one food truck that you gotta go check out is Pho King Rapidos. A little bit close there, but Pho King Rapidos. It's like a Vietnamese Mexican fusion food truck. And I believe they have a vendor stand in one of the food halls here. I believe it's in Edgewater Public Market, but nonetheless, you got to go look them up because they are really good. And staying on that same vein, the food is getting much better year over year as I continue to live here in Denver. Like I said earlier, Denver is becoming more of a melting pot of cultures, and not just the fusion food, but let's say Chinese food, Korean, Japanese, and I'm just having a really good time here. If you really want to go check out like that Asian food cuisine, definitely go over to the Aurora area. That's more on the east side of Denver, where you can get some excellent Chinese food. Definitely go to China Cafe over there, and also go to Coark Collective, which is like this big old Korean food hall with bibimbap, tofu, fried tofu, and boba. I mean, the list goes on here. And I mentioned this in a couple of my other videos. You got to go check out some of the food halls here. It's to die for, and there's something for everyone here. Whether it's drinks crafted by expert mixologists, or going from barbecue to chicken sandwiches to lobster rolls to was like urban Puerto Rican food. It's all really good here, and you will not be disappointed. Some people might not know this, but Denver is also known for the booming tech scene. Huge tech scene here in Denver, and also Boulder, and a lot of people come here from like out of state just to enjoy that open space here. And there's a lot of people with higher education here. 92% of people living in the greater Denver area have high school diplomas. 48% have a college degree or higher, and it's the second most highly educated workforce in all of the country. And with all those people that are working remote and wanted to move to Denver for more space to bring out their elbows, they definitely enjoy the mountain scene here. A lot of people even take off Friday, let's say like at 12, people head out to the mountains to go camping, start the longer weekend, or they go out to the mountains just for snowboarding or snow sports. A lot of the times what I notice is that even though I take off, let's say mid-Friday, back when I had a W-2 job, I noticed that everyone had the same idea, and there was so much traffic getting into the mountains. So I would just highly suggest just take a long weekend, go like on a Thursday night or something like that, or go super early on Friday. That way you don't run into traffic and you're just having a good time. Another point about living in Denver is that it is a very car-centric city. There's not too many places around, maybe a couple of neighborhoods here and there, let's say like Highlands or Sunnyside, where it is very walkable. But everywhere else, let's say Arvada, Wheat Ridge, Centennial, Parker, down in the way south, or North Glen Thornton, wherever it might be outside of those really tight-knit neighborhoods, you are going to need a car. There really isn't that much public transportation, to be honest. The light rail is decent, but the thing is that it doesn't directly take you to a certain central location, you know what I mean? For example, it does take you to, let's say, Union Station, but it is not in the heart of downtown Denver. So all in all, it sort of takes you within a mile of that certain destination, especially if you wanted to take the light rail to work. So public transportation isn't too reliable, unfortunately. But that is not necessarily a deal breaker, because the traffic isn't really that bad compared to, let's say, California or some of the other really busy metropolitan cities. And parking isn't too bad. The only parts that I can think of that are really bad for parking is maybe downtown, Rhino, 5 Points, and some of those central neighborhoods. The next point I want to bring up about Denver is that the weather can be pretty erratic. In the summertime, and we've definitely noticed this the past like 3 to 4, 5 weeks even, is that it could be bright and sunny without any clouds whatsoever, but then by the time 1, 2, or 3 p.m. hits, all of a sudden these dark, stormy clouds come in, and then you get hailstorms or thunderstorms or something like that, and all of a sudden it just starts raining. So I'll be honest here, hail is really not that big of a concern as far as, how big they can get or how often it happens. It does happen every once in a while, but it's not like they're like golf ball or like tennis ball size. They're usually about 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch in diameter. And usually what I like to say to people that are not used to the weather here in Denver, it's like, wait 30 minutes, and then usually it changes on you. What I also noticed is that a lot of people just hunker down during the wintertime, and they're not usually walking around lakes or going on pavements or trails or something like that. They like to stay indoors for the most part, unless they're going out to the mountains or enjoying some snow sports, or snowshoeing even. And living in Denver, you'll get your daily dose of vitamin D. And I'm not just talking about the supplements here. You know, we usually get about like 250 days out of the year of like complete sunshine, and it is beautiful during that time. And did you know that Denver can give you some superpowers? Okay, not really superpowers, but ever since I've been living here and I run at the same time, I feel like my lung capacity has gotten used to like all the limited amount of oxygen here. I feel like when I first got here, going up steps was a struggle. But nowadays, I feel like I've gotten so used to it, now I can run like 5, 6, 7 miles pretty easily. And then when I go back to San Diego or sea level, I feel like a god almost. Because we're the mile-high city, we're going to be getting into thinner oxygen, and you're just not going to get as much every time you breathe. So it's just something to get used to over time. And I know I've mentioned this so many times about like people wanting to go out or go to the mountains or go on trails, and it's mainly because people here in Denver like to take care of themselves. Whether it's healthy eating, mentally speaking, because there's a lot of social events, or just keeping active and doing marathons or something like that, there's something for everyone here. And for the healthy eating part, I will say that there are more vegans in California than there are in Colorado right now. And even a walk outside with that brisk mountain air can really lift up your soul. And because people take care of themselves so much, I feel like the people here are very chill. They're very relaxed, and they usually let people be who they want to be. And I've said this a couple of times already, but Denverites are a nice mix between that sort of like West Coast laid-back vibe where you're just chilling, but also you get that like Midwestern hospitality as well. It's not very hard to make friends here, and I keep saying it, and you know, I keep saying it because it is true. There is something for everyone here. Another thing I want to point out is that craft beer is everywhere here. There are a ton of options, and I want to consider it the Napa Valley of beer. Denver hosts several beer festivals throughout the year, and the prime time to go and check out these beer festivals is like right now. Right now, when I'm filming this, it is June 2023, and you got the Great American Beer Festival coming up in a couple of months. And along the way, you got beer gardens, you got so many cool events going on. I feel like for those people that love beer or cocktails or just spirits in general, you're gonna have a good time here. And finally, getting into the real estate portion of it, compared to the rest of the nation, I would say that Denver is pretty expensive compared to it. So the median home price in the greater Denver area is approximately $580,000, and compared to the rest of the nation is approximately $436,000. And to be honest, I think it's just gonna get more expensive. And I want to preface this with it's only getting more expensive because more people want to live here. Denver's population is going up, the job growth is going up, a lot of employers are moving here, and the mountains are not moving anywhere anytime soon. The coastal cities will always have these beachfront properties that have a lot of value built into it just because it's so close to the beach. But then you look over in Denver, and the fact that you can get like mountain views, even if you see some snow-capped mountains in your backyard, it automatically raises that property value. And one of the biggest things in my opinion here in Denver, like with the quality of life and everything that's going on here, we have basements here. I was so ecstatic about basements when I first heard about them or even saw them with my own eyes, because I only thought that basements were left for those people that dropped out of college and do nothing with their life. But to be honest, like the basements are amazing here. Like they often convert them into, let's say, movie theaters or kids play areas or just like huge gaming rooms. I know with my parents, they have approximately 1,500 square feet of basement area, and they're gonna have a kitchenette in there, a TV room, a huge workout room, and honestly another bedroom and bathroom to increase the value of their property. And now with basements, because we're underground, there's some things to consider with it. So with basements, you're gonna have this insulated area, so it's gonna be cooler during the summertime, but then also warmer during the wintertime, just because it doesn't flux with the weather. Another thing too is that if we get heavy rain or if the snow melts really quickly, in the basements, you could have water creep up and possibly getting into the basement, which is a really bad thing to happen. So a lot of these places, let's say properties might have sump pumps built in where they pump out that water and it shoots it outside of the house. And because of basements, we also need radon mitigation systems. Radon is a colorless, odorless gas that can be a carcinogenic, which means it can cause cancer. Say that 5 times fast. You know, as a real estate professional, I highly recommend you just look for that radon mitigation system, and I often encourage or fight for a payment or an installation of a radon mitigation system before my clients move into that home. The radon comes from the granite rocks underneath the basement and sort of seeps up into the basement. But yeah, it's something that can easily be taken care of. Also, another thing too, if you have any bedrooms in the basement, make sure you install or look forward to or budget for an egress window. An egress window is a little bit larger than your typical basement window, and it's to help people get out of the house if there's like a fire in the basement or in the house. Instead of going all the way up the house and trying to go out that way, you can easily escape through that egress window. Really excited to see what Denver is blooming into, and this is merely the beginning if you ask me. There's so much room for growth here in Denver, and it's only going up and to the right. So really excited to have you here, and if you wanted to like have a tour of the place or just call me up to figure out like, hey, what's the best neighborhoods to check out for my family, or if I'm a bachelor, or if you're just looking for a condo in the heart of it all, hit me up and I will help you out. We can go tour some homes along the way. Thank you so much, and make sure you like, subscribe if you really liked it too, and comment down below if you want to see a certain type of video, because I am here to serve you. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next week.